Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Sir Alex Ferguson Challenge with West Ham. Now we've come back a little bit early. As you can see, the first knockout round of the Champions League is about to be drawn. We are of course one of the seeded teams for finishing top, so we can get Atletico Madrid. I can't remember if you can get the same team from your nationality in the first knockout round. I don't believe you can, so Liverpool, Man United and Man City are all out of it, as are Olympique Marseille actually. So Atletico Madrid, Porto, Napoli or PSV. If we could avoid Atletico Madrid or Napoli, I think that would be the best solution for us. So we're going to click automatic draw and we'll see how the draw unfolds as Porto come out first. I would take Porto. They have got Roma, so Roma finished top of their group. Napoli come up next. Oh my god. So we've got one of Atletico Madrid, or it was the other one, I can't even remember. Atletico Madrid are out. Is this going to be us? It's not. So who does that leave us with? It leaves us with PSV. Please hope I'm not wrong about this. Do we get PSV? We are going to get PSV, boys. This is absolutely fantastic. What a draw for the first knockout round. So yeah, there's all the teams. Have a look. Enjoy. I'll see you back in January. So we're here. It is the start of the January transfer window, and a lot of our signings that we've made throughout the season have now come in. So we'll quickly run through some of these. We've signed Edgar Perez, a goalkeeper from Colombia, for £750,000. I think he looks absolutely excellent for a 2-star goalkeeper. You know, he's well-rounded in his goalkeeping stats. He's got okay physicals and some good mental attributes. Of course, none of these players will get work permits because of the ruling that Brexit has brought about. In the under-23 squad, you can only have 5 players that need to apply for a work permit. We've already got that all sewn up, so all of these players will be going out on loan, or at the very least, I'll be trying to get them out on loan. Next one was Armando Lozano for £425,000. He's a central midfielder, again from Colombia, and this guy looks really quite good actually. I'm not quite sure where the 2-star current ability comes from, but physically he's absolutely fantastically well rounded. Mentally he's okay, not the greatest, but technically he's still absolutely great. And as you know, I'm playing Mezzalas in the current system that I'm using most often, so obviously getting this guy in is quite a bit of a boon really. Next up was Aitor de Paula, a hard-working midfielder who we signed for $2.9 million from Real Sociedad. This guy's the real deal, and if he was English, he would be straight into the first team squad. Unfortunately, due to work permit and registration restrictions, he's not going to be in the first team this season. I'll try and get him long game time out. You know, the idea with all of these signings is to really get them in and make a profit on them long term. £2.8 million brought us Alberto Ilias. He's a Romanian. He's already got a senior cap as well. He's a left back, which we didn't really have any in terms of future prospects. Again, he's excellently well rounded. We'll get him long game time out. Next up was Igor Vilabria. We signed him from Valladolid in Spain for £3.9 million. A 2.5-star current, 5-star potential midfielder. Very similar to the other guy that we've signed. He might have made it in the first team squad, although probably not this guy. We'll get him long game time out anyway. Next up was Sandri for £500,000. He looks like maybe he might be a bit of a dud. My scout report, it did initially come back and say he was a very good player. Again, the sort of fees that we're paying for these guys means I think it's pretty impossible not to make a profit on them unless we let their contract run out. And finally, we brought in Miguel Gonçalves for £250,000. Looks like a really good attacking midfielder, particularly impressed with his physicals and mentals. Got a lot of work to do in his technicals, but again, long game time out. So in terms of the squad for January, what am I looking at? I'm particularly looking for attacking players. That seems to be the main point of where we are getting our injuries, and unfortunately, I think Marko Arnautovic is now out for 3 months alongside our other long-term injuries. Oh God, look at the size of the squad since them players have come in. But Dennis Mann is not registered for the Champions League, which is not ideal, I'll have to admit. So ideally it would be an English player or Scottish or basically a British player, so he wouldn't have to be registered. But we'll have to wait and see what comes up in the January transfer period. Of course, I'll be open to any sort of players that would massively improve our squad, and particularly if we get offers in for some of our players. Pulisic is wanted by Manchester City. He has been kicking up a fuss about wanting a new contract now. after kicking up a fuss in the summer about wanting to leave leave for Manchester United. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with them. So incomings definitely depend on outgoings. If there's any English players that become available who I think will be beneficial to the squad, I will definitely make the moves. Someone who I'm taking a keen interest in is Phil Foden, of course. If you were aware of my previous series or FM19 in general, you know Phil Foden's always a fantastic player. He's in the Manchester City first team, but he's not getting game time. So I'm waiting for him to kick up a fuss and hopefully get transfer listed by request, because currently they want something like 200 million for him, which is not something I can afford. So yeah, this might end up being the best transfer window ever or just the most dull one. I will be trying to unsettle Josh Tymon. He's an English left back who I see as the long-term successor to Aaron Creswell. He's stagnated a little bit at Stoke. He's still in there under 23s. I'm going to make an offer straight away. I'm just going to make it like that, and hopefully Tymon will kick up a fuss on his end, because every time I make an offer and suggest terms, they want something ridiculous like £120 million. So yeah, so how this episode's going to work, we're not going to live com any games. I'll just bring you the results from all of these games as and when I play them. One of the key ones in here is Manchester City at home. I actually haven't even discussed the schedule since we last met, actually. So obviously when we last met, it was Barcelona 4-1 in the Champions League. We followed that up with a 1-0 away win at Chelsea, which was absolutely huge. Pomricic getting the goal in the 23rd minute, which secured the victory for that. We followed that up with a 2-1 home win against Everton. Felipe Anderson getting himself a double. Richarlison did bring them back level, and I was suspecting that was going to be the end of the game. The game sort of died after that goal, but Felipe Anderson got a penalty in the 87th minute and secured the 3 points. We went away, we had a home game, against Millwall, and Pomricic got himself another goal in the 25th minute, which secured the 3 points. And the most disappointing result of them all was a 1-1 away draw at Newcastle United, where Ziyech equalised from a Matt Ritchie opener in the 53rd minute, and we just could not break them down. So yeah, I'm going to continue. If there's any serious interest in any of our players or any serious offers I make, I will come back and let you know. I will be trying to get all of our youngsters out on loan that are currently in the squad without work permits, particularly in the under 23s. But I'll show you all that at the back end of the episode. I'll not come back for that every time it happens, because there'll probably be quite a lot. So we've just played Port Vale in the FA Cup third round, and we did manage to get the victory quite easily. Moyes came with a hat-trick, Edmilson Fernandez continuing in his good form, getting himself a couple of goals, and Felipe Anderson getting a goal off the bench. Another signing and just another youth prospect, really. He looks really, really good. 1.3 million was signing from Gijon in Spain. And I mean, just look at his pace. Just look at his pace. Fantastic. Let's get him in and get him out on loan. So we've just played Stoke City in the Premier League, and we kind of got away with this one. We won 1-0, an early goal from Alexander Isak, but they did go down to 10 men in the 19th minute, and we obviously dominated the game from there, but we didn't really create anything. So we're a little bit fortunate to get away with that today. If they were with 11 men, maybe it would have been a different scoreline, but we'll take the 3 points. Well, we're coming to the end of an away match against Arsenal, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has secured the 3 points for Arsenal with 2-0 defeat. It ends a 14-game unbeaten streak, and it's just before the crunch game against Manchester City in the next match. So it's really, really disappointing. But Arsenal are obviously a good team with good players, and they did dominate the match. Just disappointing to lose. Just before we get into the match, I want to point out that every single player that I would usually play on the right-hand side of our attack midfield is injured. Dennis Mann injured, Arnautovic injured, Felipe Anderson injured, Tete injured. 4 players who I would be more than happy to play on the right-hand side can't play in today's game, so I'm just getting me excuses in early if we get beat. And we have just beaten our title rivals Manchester City in a crunch game. You remember when I was whinging about the attack midfield right position? Ziyech filled in that role and got the goal that gave us the win. But of course, let's not forget, he's then got injured in the 70th minute. So there's 5 players who can all play on the right side of our attack and midfield who are all out of commission at the minute. And he's out for 8 weeks. Fantastic. I think we have got Manchester City's number. We've just had to play them in the FA Cup 4th round, and whilst they did dominate the match based on shots, we managed to get the 2-0 victory through to the next round. Ronaldo Vieira in the 59th minute and Edemilson Fernandez in the 77th minute secure safe passage. Just a quick update, Man City have just come in and tried to unsettle Aaron Cresswell. I do believe this is underhanded tactics by the Manchester City manager. Unfortunately for them, he did come to me and say he was unhappy at not being able to pursue the move at Manchester City. But fortunately, I said he wouldn't get the game time and he was happy with that. Well, we're coming to the end of our game with Brighton and we have just won 2-0. Alexander Isak getting both goals for us. They did have a man sent off very, very late on. But 3 points, we're still top at the minute. One more game to go in January. There's not a lot happening on the incoming or outgoing front. If that changes, I'll let you know, but we've got Watford next. Let's see what happens. So we've just played Watford in the final game in January and we've managed to win 5-1. Tetier getting himself an early goal and then got himself an injury because our right midfielder is cursed. Alexander Isak getting a hat-trick and Moise Kean getting himself on the score sheet as well. Now, there's still a couple of days left in the January transfer period, but I'm not going to make any offers for anybody else. And I don't anticipate selling anyone major either. If that changes, you'll see it in the next episode. Just a quick update. We did try and unsettle Josh Tyman. It didn't happen, but tried to unsettle Phil Foden. Didn't happen. And I'm actually quite glad about Phil Foden because I didn't check his report thoroughly enough and he is fairly susceptible to injuries. And we've just got rid of Jack Wilshere and I don't want another English attacking midfielder spending more time on the bench or in the treatment room than in the first 11. And we also tried to unsettle Jadon Sancho. Now, Sancho's an interesting one. He's got a £70 million release clause. I went up to £50 million to see if that would unsettle him, as Dortmund are currently in 7th position in the Bundesliga. So I tried to unsettle him. It didn't work. I'll look back at that in the summer and maybe £70 million, depends how much we've got, might be worth it. And just as my voice is starting to go, I can feel it, we'll end the episode here. If you have enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like, and if you enjoy my content, get yourself subscribed. But until next time, take it easy. Oh, I'll just quickly show you, we're still top of the Premier League, we're 4 points clear now. See you later.